Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is entitled Yamaraj Instructs His Messengers. Text 26. Evam vimrushya sudhiyo bhagavatyanante sarvatmana vidhatate khalu bhava yogam te mena dandamarhantyatha yadyamisha Syat patakam tadapi hantyurugaya vadaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada. Translation. Considering all these points, therefore, intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart and who is a mine of all auspicious qualities. Such persons are not within my jurisdiction for punishment. Generally, they never commit sinful activities. But even if by mistake or because of bewilderment or illusion, they sometimes commit sinful acts, they are protected from sinful reactions because they always chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verse from the prayers of Lord Brahma, Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 29th verse. Athapite deva padambujadvaya Prasad leshanugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. The purport is that even though one is a very learned scholar of the Vedic Shastras, he may be completely unaware of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His name, fame, qualities, and so forth. Whereas one who is not a great scholar can understand the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he somehow or other becomes a pure devotee of the Lord by engaging in devotional service. Therefore, this verse spoken by Yamaraj says, Evam vimrushya sudhiyo bhagavati. Those who engage in the loving service of the Lord become sudhiyaha, intelligent. But this is not so of a Vedic scholar who does not understand Krishna's name, fame, and qualities. A pure devotee is one whose intelligence is clear. He is truly thoughtful because he engages in the service of the Lord, not as a matter of show, but with love, with his mind, words, and body. Non-devotees may make a show of religion, but it is not very effective. Because although they ostentatiously attend a temple or church, they are thinking of something else. Such persons are neglecting their religious duty and are punishable by Yamaraj. But a devotee who commits sinful acts, which he may do unwillingly or accidentally because of his former habits, is excused. That is the value of this Sankirtan movement. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. This verse is a sequel to the previous two verses because this verse begins with Evam vimrishya, considering all these points. Which points? The points mentioned in the previous two verses. So the previous two verses, the 24th and the 25th verses, I'll just read the translation. The 24th verses, therefore it should be understood that one is easily relieved from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord and chanting of His qualities and activities. This is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. This is part of the 24th verse. And the 25th verse says, because they are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yajnavalkya and Jaimini and other compilers of the religious scriptures cannot know the secret, confidential religious system of the 12 Mahajanas. They are compilers of the Vedic scriptures. They are great sages. They are very learned Vedic scholars. They have deliberated on the injunctions of the Vedas, the statements of the Vedas, and they have come to a conclusion, Siddhanta, and they present that Siddhanta. Yajnavalkya, Jaimini, Gautama, so many sages, great sages. But those sages who are non-devotees, they cannot understand the confidential religious system of the 12 Mahajanas. They cannot understand the transcendental value of performing devotional service or chanting the Hare Krishna mantra because they are non-devotees. And their minds are generally attracted to ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Krishna is warning. The subject matter of the Vedas, bulk of the Vedas, most of the Vedas, is this Traigunya Vishaya. It pertains to the actions and reactions of the three gunas. So one has to be careful not to get entangled or misled or carried away by the promises given in the Vedas about different material benefits by performing some rituals, some yajna, dana, tapa kind of karmas. Even Krishna warns in the second chapter, Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Those are not so intelligent. Even though they are learned scholars in the Vedas, they are carried away by the flowery language of the Vedas, which promise Bhogaishwarya gatim prati Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha Vedavadarataah partha. They are all known to be great followers of the Vedas because they chant the Vedic mantras according to meter and accent. For what purpose? They miss out the real goal of the Vedas. Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyam. Krishna clearly says the goal, ultimate goal of the Vedas is to know Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But these people, Vedavadarataha, they are committed to reciting the Vedas, teaching them to others, directing people how to execute the Vedic injunctions. For what? Bhoga Ishwarya Gatim Prati. Bhoga and Aishwarya. These are mostly people who are interested in material enjoyment and material opulence. So Krishna warns in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apahruta Chetasa. Those who are very much attached to such material enjoyment and material opulence, or they are bewildered by the prospect of these material gain by following Vedic rituals. Such people, vyavasayatmika buddhis samadhav na vidhiyate. They cannot have one-pointed attention to achieve the ultimate goal of the Vedas. Their mind becomes completely split in so many millions of directions. In one of the earlier verses, Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Bahushakha hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Those whose intelligence is not properly purified, avishuddha buddhaya, another place, Bhagavatam says, those whose intelligence is not completely purified, they sometimes think that they are liberated, even though they are not liberated. Vimukta maninaha. Just because they have somehow realized the impersonal Brahman, it's not complete realization, because according to the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. Krishna is the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the source of the impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the source of everything, including the impersonal Brahman and the Paramatma within the heart. But these people, they have some misconception that the absolute truth ultimately is the impersonal Brahman, and they don't make further progress in realization of the absolute truth. They don't go further. Even if they somehow engage in severe austerities to realize the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth, they ultimately conclude that beyond this material world, there is the supreme absolute truth as the impersonal Brahman. So they come to a wrong conclusion that ultimate understanding of the absolute truth is the impersonal Brahman realization. So such people, their intelligence is not yet purified. So in today's verse, it is said here that considering all these points, intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord. So the sign of intelligence, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna ye bhaje se bada chatura. One who is engaged in devotional service of Krishna is the most intelligent person in human society. So, therefore, this verse is talking about intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Simply by chanting, they get all perfection. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is declared by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Chanting the holy names of Krishna can give supreme success. Supreme success. Now, the Lord is described here as who is situated in everyone's heart. He is the Lord in the heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am seated in everyone's heart. So the Lord in the heart, first of all, people don't know there is the Lord sitting in the heart. They confuse with something called conscience. Like sometimes people say, my conscience doesn't allow me to tell lies. So they think that conscience is God. But what is this conscience? This conscience, without spiritual understanding, simply on the basis of some material knowledge, is actually what we understand from the Bhagavatam as conditioning. Supposing somebody from childhood is conditioned not to tell lies. So when they grow up, what will they say? My conscience doesn't permit me to tell lies. They feel some discomfort if they have to tell lies. They will generally not tell lies. Or they may even think telling lies is totally wrong. It's very bad. It's not good. So one should not mistakenly think that people who have got such a feeling or such an understanding are actually spiritualists. They are not spiritualists. They have been conditioned not to tell lies. Conditioning means something that is a habit that has been formed because of strong practice, because of a very good influence in the childhood of the parents who teach good values to their children. Certainly it's a good value not to tell lies. But when they say, my conscience doesn't permit me, that is not spiritual understanding, proper spiritual understanding. So, we can see another example in the West. Those who are conditioned to eat meat from childhood, their conscience doesn't bother them when they eat meat, when they are grown up, when they cannot, in their position to understand what does meat eating involve. Their conscience doesn't bother them. Whereas in India, somebody is grown up a vegetarian, they'll say, my conscience doesn't permit me to eat meat. So this is simply conditioning. And this conditioning can change. Conditioning can change. Just like somebody who is accustomed to eating only vegetarian food in India. Some of these Indians, when they immigrate to US or some Western country, then they give up this vegetarian practice and they start eating meat. So what happens to their conscience? So this conscience is simply conditioning. Whereas the understanding that the Supreme Lord is seated in my heart from the Bhagavad Gita, from the authentic scriptures, and adopting the right process for realizing the presence of the Lord in the heart is totally different from conscience. It's totally different. This is a spiritual process. By adopting devotional service, process of devotional service. Because the Lord can be realized, the Lord who is seated in the heart as Paramatma, Krishna who is seated in the heart as Paramatma, can be realized only by devotional service. If you want to realize that the Supreme Lord is seated, not some impersonal understanding or some force or some superior control or some higher authority, not like that. Those kind of understanding are all imperfect, sentimental, speculative kind of understanding. So that is not proper understanding of the Lord who is situated in everyone's heart. Many times, even those engaged in self-realization, they mistakenly think the soul and the super soul to be one. This is also called Advaitavada, the non-dualists, as Prabhupada says sometimes. For them, there is only one soul, and that is the absolute truth, that's the ultimate soul. That is present in everybody's heart, they say. But, even though it's a fact, Shastra says, the absolute truth, as a supreme soul, super soul, is present in everyone's heart. But, the living being, who's also seated in the heart region, is distinctly a separate identity. A unique, I shouldn't say separate identity. It's a unique identity, not the identity of the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Absolute Truth. So in the Vedas, this is confirmed in so many places. Even those who study the original Vedas, they miss out the direct meaning of all these verses. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. The distinction is made between the one supreme, eternal, supreme Lord in the heart and the many living entities. The distinctly identifiable soul, individual soul, distinctly separate in identity from the Supreme Lord, from Krishna, from the Super Soul. And in the 15th chapter, Krishna clarifies this. Dvavimau purushau loke ksharashchakshara evacha. There are two kinds of purushas, because 13th chapter talks of purusha and prakriti on the request of Arjuna. Krishna explains what is purusha and what is prakriti. So in 13th chapter is clarified that the supreme purusha is the Supreme Lord, whereas the subordinate purusha is the living being. Now this is perfectly clarified in the 15th chapter. Dvavimau purushau loke ksharashchakshara evacha. Kshara and akshara, two kinds of living beings. Two kinds of living beings, two kinds of souls, individual souls. Kshara is the conditioned souls and akshara is the liberated souls. All living beings in this world who have taken birth by force of karma are conditioned souls, are kshara. And all those in the spiritual world, living beings in the spiritual world, are liberated souls. Dvavimau purushav loke ksharashchakshara evacha. Ksharas sarvani bhutani. Bhutani means those created beings. Those who are created. They are kshara. They are fallible. They are fallen down. They are in a fallen condition. They are conditioned souls. They are under the clutches of the illusory energy. Ksharas sarvani bhutani kutastokshara uchyate. But akshara, they are firmly situated in their original consciousness, in their original position as liberated souls in the spiritual world. They are situated in the spiritual world. Then what is the next verse after that? Dvavimau purushav loke ksharashchakshara. Uttamaha tu purushastu anyaha. There is another purusha apart from these kshara and akshara purushas. Uttamastu purushastu anyaha. Paramatmeti udahritaha. He is called Paramatma. Neither the living entities are Paramatma, nor even the liberated souls in the spiritual world are Paramatma. Yo lokatrayamavishya bibharti avyaya ishvaraha. He is a supreme controller. He has entered into this world and he maintains, entered into everything. That's why his another name is Vasudeva. One who has entered into everything. Or another name is Vishnu, who has entered into everything. Every atom, every living entity's heart, every planet, every universe even the material energy, he has entered. You see, as Karanodakshai Vishnu, he begins this entire creation by entering into the material energy as Mahavishnu. Then he enters into each universe as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Then he enters into every living entity's heart as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, expanded as Paramatma. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. He is entering into every material atom. Matter cannot work as matter if the Lord were not to enter into every material atom. What is the cause of this atomic energy? Split one atom and so much energy. So much energy. The scientists are bewildered by this discovery. But long before even the scientists could even begin their research, our scriptures say the Lord has entered. And that's how apparently inert matter seems to be possessing so much of energy, atomic energy, because the Lord has entered. You see, the Lord has entered into every material atom. So, he enters and therefore matter is acting as material energy. Even though material energy in the dormant condition is also material energy, but it is inactive condition. It is inactive condition. Similarly, the living beings, unless the Supreme Lord enters as Paramatma in the heart of the living being is completely helpless to even utilize this body, to even think, feel, will, to do anything. Completely helpless. So only because the Lord enters our heart as Paramatma, he actually activates this body, this machine, by the pranavayu. When he enters, prana also enters. That is his energy. Prana, the life air, is the energy of the super soul. So therefore, Krishna says in the 10th chapter that I am the living force within every living entity's heart. What is that verse? In the 10th chapter. The opulence of the Absolute. The life force, the living force, is actually the prana, which is the energy of the super soul. That's why there is some problem in the pranavayu air circulation, life air, circulating in the body. There is some disease or there is some defect in the working of some part of the body. Because that pranavayu is not the conscious energy of the living being. Sometimes people think like that. That this prana is same as the energy of this individual soul. No. Energy of the individual soul is simply kshetrajna, is simply meant for being aware of whatever is made known by the Paramatma. We think we are seeing through these eyes. Actually, we are not the seers. The seer is the Paramatma. And then Paramatma gives us the knowledge that what you are seeing, the image that you are seeing, you become aware it is such and such a thing. Therefore, Krishna says in the 15th chapter, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me alone comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. That knowledge is given by Paramatma. Every moment, whatever knowledge we think we are having or we are able to utilize or we are able to become aware is actually given by Paramatma moment to moment. So Paramatma is active in our heart. Every moment he is active. So it is a mercy of the Supreme Lord as Paramatma that we are able to even utilize this body, live in this body, do anything with this body. So therefore, that previous classes you would have heard a lot. Marupani Prabhu explained how you have to learn to depend on Paramatma for all the resources that you require, even in devotional service. All the resources that you require, all the intelligence that you require, all the knowledge that you require, everything, the source is Paramatma. Only a person under illusion thinks, I know, I have got the ability, I have got the skill. And therefore Krishna says, Ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. It's only due to false ego, that's all. Otherwise, the correct understanding is, the Lord is very mercifully seated in my heart and He is enabling me to work, to do, to think, to feel, to will, to understand, to know. 13th chapter Krishna clearly says, you are just a knower, that's all, of this body, of the kshetra. And how is that knowing possible, made possible? By the presence of Paramatma, who makes it known. Otherwise, independently, if we sometimes think that I am the knower, I know by myself, then when there is some derangement of the mind, then the person is not aware of anything properly. Or there is something that happens in the brain, some brain injury. There is amnesia, there is some paralytic stroke. So that is when we actually can reflect and understand that Paramatma's mercy only that we can know, we can understand, we can feel, we can think. So how we should be always grateful to Paramatma. And who is that Paramatma? Paramatma is Krishna. From the Bhagavad Gita we understand this. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishto matta smritir jnana. So he is Paramatma. So that 15th chapter, that 17th verse, what is that? Uttamaha tu purushastu anyaha paramatmeti udahritaha yo lokatrayamavishya bibharti avyaya ishvaraha yasmat ksharam atitoham aksharadapi chottamaha. He is the Uttama Purusha. So our acharyas explain 3 conceptions of Purusha. Adhama Purusha is the living being, the lowest conception of Purusha. Subordinate enjoyer, Prabhupada says in 13th chapter. Purusha is enjoyer, we are subordinate enjoyers. Then, Madhyama Purusha is the via media between the living being and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. That is the Paramatma. Paramatma is the Madhyama Purusha. And Uttama Purusha is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Krishna says, I am Uttama Purusha, transcendental to both the Kshara and Akshara. This is where Mayavada is completely defeated. The Mayavadis say, in our conditioned state, we are under the clutches of Maya, yes. But when we become liberated, we become God. We become Purushottama. But clearly Krishna is telling, Yasmat ksharam atitoham aksharadapi chottamaha. Who are these Akshara? They are the liberated souls in the spiritual world. Krishna says, I am transcendental even to the Akshara. Even to the Akshara. He is the Lord of the liberated souls also. So distinctly he has got his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why the 15th chapter title is Purushottama Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. This Supreme Person is clearly distinguished from the individual souls who are also persons, but who are not the Supreme Person, even in the liberated condition. Atosmi loke vedecha pratita purushottamaha. Therefore, in the Vedas, it is declared that Purushottama is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that after liberation we become Purushottama, or we become God, or we become the Supreme. No. Distinctly, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So, this understanding is possible even without studying the Vedas, if simply somebody engages in devotional service. That's what this verse says, that such persons who solve all problems by adopting the devotional service, chanting the holy name of the Lord, such persons are not within the jurisdiction of punishment by Yamaraj. Even though sometimes they accidentally commit some sinful activities, simply because they are engaged always in devotional service, especially always engaged in chanting the holy name, they are completely protected from sinful reactions, like Ajamila was protected at the time of death from the clutches of the Yamadutas. So Yamaraj says they are not within my jurisdiction. Earlier, there was a discussion between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas. So Vishnudutas questioned them, who are the candidates for punishment? So they said all the living beings who are engaged in fruitive activities. Note that answer that the Yamadutas gave. All those who are engaged in fruitive activities. Now, the mistake that many people make, they think that devotees who are engaged in devotional service are also fruitive workers, like karmis. But devotees are distinctly different from karmis, fruitive workers. Devotees engage in devotional service which looks like fruitive activity, but actually it is not fruitive activity. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, they are free from the tinge of karma and jnana contamination in all their activities. So what are such activities? Especially the chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Lord is singled out among all varieties of devotional service. Because this chanting, even if it is done inadvertently, even if it is done without knowing the meaning, even if it is done accidentally, even if it is chanted, the holy name is chanted referring to something else. Ajamila didn't call out the name of the Supreme Lord, being conscious that he is chanting the name of the Supreme Lord. He was conscious of his son. So he called out his son. Therefore, the name worked. Because it is the name of the Supreme Lord, merely uttering 4 syllables, Narayana, or even shorter than that, 2 syllables, Krishna, over. See in the Hare Krishna mantra, all the 3 words of the Hare Krishna mantra are 2 syllables. Hare, Krishna, Rama. 2 syllables, not even 4 syllables. Not even 4 syllables. So therefore, the Hare Krishna mantra, even if incompletely chanted, somehow Hare, Krishna, Rama. Sometimes people, when we tell them chant Hare Krishna mantra, and we try to teach them this Hare Krishna mantra, so difficult for them to, in the beginning, to say Hare Krishna, they get all confused. So sometimes I tell people who get confused with this Hare Krishna mantra, then just say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And it works. It really works, even if the person is not fully chanting the holy name. Somehow, if he simply says even Krishna, simply says Krishna, 2 syllables, enough. The proof is Ajamila. So, some or the other, if they chant, and especially those who make a habit of regularly chanting, those who are constantly chanting, Harer Namanu Kirtanam, this is what Shukadeva Goswami says. Those who follow the process of devotional service by constantly engaging in chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, following the ways of the authorities, they are guaranteed liberation. They are guaranteed liberation from material world. So that is what is being said here. Even if they accidentally, during the course of practice, even if they accidentally commit some sin, they are not punished by Yamaraj. They are not punished by Yamaraj. So this we have to understand, the glories of chanting the holy name, the power of chanting the holy name. This particular section of the Bhagavatam, though Bhagavatam is all about glories of the Supreme Lord, the glorification of the holy name of the Supreme Lord is there in certain sections of the Bhagavatam, especially highlighted, especially these first 3 chapters of the 6th canto. We have to thoroughly study this. It strengthens our faith in the process of chanting the holy name, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stresses so much, which all our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya stress, which Bhagavatam stresses. We also have to become fully convinced that we will not sometimes think that for a change, let me do some other type of devotional service. Sometimes we neglect to chant properly because we are not sufficiently convinced about the power of chanting holy name. Or when we have completed 16 rounds, if there is time for chanting more rounds, let me do something else. Actually, if you understand what is the potency of chanting Hare Krishna, how merciful is the Lord in the form of the holy name, then you would rather chant more rounds than do something else, if you have extra time. So, get convinced about chanting the holy name by thoroughly studying, especially these 3 chapters of the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki